Yine yeniden Yaban TV'de Zirveyi Zorlayanlar'da bendeniz Murat İrfan Arcabay size bu sefer ecnebi birini, daha doğrusu ecnebi bir zirveyi zorlayanı buldum. Ecnebi kelimesi günümüzde kullanılmayan bir kelime. Eskidi biliyorum ama ben eski kafalı olarak yabancı demek istemiyorum. Çünkü biz dünyalılar bir ötekini, bir berikini yabancı ya da yerli diye adlandırmaktan hoşlanmıyoruz. Ben ve eşi Sofya'yı buldum. Nasıl buldum? O beni buldu aslında. Çok güzel bir Land Rover hikayesi var, Defender hikayesi var. Biniyorlar arabalarına aynı bizim gibi. Biz de bunu yapıyoruz. Bazen sırt çantamızda, bazen arabamızda. Sorun yok. Ben eşini de alıyor, dünya turuna çıkıyor. Defender, arkamda gördüğümüz Defender'la, yani biz bu araçlara Defender diyoruz. Land Rover'ın klasik kasaları. Söylemekte sakınca yok çünkü bunlar aynı Vos kültürü gibi dünyada örgütlenmiş, dünyada yaygın bir kulüp oluşmuş bir kültür. Defender'larla yolculuk yapmak bir ayrıcalık ama ben ve eşi yalnız başına çok uzaklara gidiyor. Çok uzaklar dediğimiz neresi gidiyor? Şimdi kendisini tanıyacağız, hikayesini alacağız. Ondan sonra da çok uzaklar hakkında konuşacağız. Hoş geldin.
Hi, merhaba.
Evet, çok uzaklar. Önce seni tanıyalım. Sen kimsin? Ve yolculuğunu anlayalım.
Well, my name's Ben Southall. I'm an adventure advocate, a bit of an explorer, someone who runs a couple of travel websites, and the lucky recipient of a competition called The Best Job in the World, which was held in Australia about 6 years ago to look after a desert island for 6 months and run a website all about my adventures. Ever since then, I've been creating my own adventures for television and for the internet. I like to go out there and do things that push my body as a human being to the limit, so I like to set world records for running up mountains. I like to go on big travel adventures. I've taken my Land Rover, Colonel Mustard is his nickname, and I've taken him around Africa, around Australia, and now with my wife Sophie we're on almost the final leg of our drive from Singapore back to London in England for Christmas with my family. We've got 2 months to go. We've been on the road since February of this year, 2015, and so far we've travelled through 17 different countries. We've covered nearly 38,000 kilometres, and we've been running a website, bestlifeintheworld.com, all about our adventures.
Aracının bir ismi var mı? Biraz evvel söyledin ama kaçırdım onu.
So my car, the 1986 Land Rover Defender, his name is Colonel Mustard.
Colonel Mustard.
Yeah.
Ne demek o?
Well, mustard is the condiment that you have with meat. It's a hot, spicy sauce. Mustard is the same colour as the car. It's the original Camel Trophy colour, but I like to call mine Colonel Mustard.
Anladım, tamam. Singapur'dan başladın. Singapur'dan buraya kaç günde geldin? Ne kadar sürede geldin? Şu an İstanbul'dayız sevgili izleyenler. Maceraya başladığı tarihi öğrenmek istiyorum. Üzerinde konuşacağız.
So we left Singapore in February and we've driven through lots of countries to get here, finally into Istanbul. We've come through Thailand, Malaysia, into Myanmar, up through the north of India and Bhutan. We crossed into Pakistan and then we headed north up through China, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, into Turkmenistan. We crossed the Caspian Sea to Azerbaijan, and then it was a simple drive down through the beautiful Georgia into the north of Turkey and through the Black Sea area. And then we arrived in Istanbul just a few days ago. The whole journey itself has taken 9 months so far.
9 months?
9 months. We left in February, on the 10th of February from Singapore, and we're due to arrive in England in the middle of December for Christmas with my mother and father.
Sevgili Ben ve eşi tek başına yolculuk yapıyor. Ben az buçuk artık birbirimizi tanıdık, yani kaç bölümdür birlikteyiz. Beni takip ediyorsunuz, ben de sizi seviyorum. Bu arada sevgimizi birbirimize ifade etmenin yolu altta yazılan e-mail adresi, oraya bir şeyler yazın. Birbirimizi sevdiğimizi belli edelim. Devamlılık için önemli. Biz kalabalık yolculuk yapmayı seviyoruz. Belki kültür olarak buna çok müsaitiz. Belki çok da fazla özgüvenimiz yok. Şimdi ben bir İngiliz, yabancı olması, İngiliz olması belki çok büyük etken olabilir. Dünyada özgür ve rahat dolaşabilmenin avantajlarını yaşadı mı? Ben'e bunu sormak istiyorum. Yani İngiliz olmak bir ayrıcalığını hissetti mi dünyada? Yalnız başına yolculuk yapmak nasıl? Bunları tarif ederse dolu dolu, uzun uzun sevinirim.
So all of our travels so far has just been Sophie and myself. We travel very independently with one car, but throughout the entire journey we've crossed paths with other overland travellers in other Land Rovers, in Mitsubishis, on motorbikes, and we've linked up with them for sometimes 2 or 3 days, and then we spend a week alone, and then by chance we meet some other travellers who decide they want to come and use one of the seats in the car. So you're not often alone on the journey because there's always other people who are travelling. I think for an Englishman travelling around the world, an English passport is a useful thing to have because it opens a lot of doorways. My wife is on an Australian passport, so they're countries that generally people around the world I hope like. It makes our travels slightly easier. I think sometimes only having English as my language, I speak a little bit of French, is sometimes a difficulty, but wherever you travel in the world, if you arrive with a big smile and a big handshake, it opens doors and it makes people your friend very, very quickly. So it's a big advantage, hopefully being a friendly, good person.
Güzel. En korkunç trafik nerede? Hangi ülkede?
We've travelled through many cities on this journey. I think some of the worst ones that we've come through for a Land Rover with an old clutch pedal, heavy clutch pedal and heavy traffic. Usually I look at Bangkok. Singapore has some heavy traffic, but India really has to be the top of the table when it comes to problematic traffic, people coming from every direction, animals, bicycles, trucks, buses. India definitely takes, I think, the top place for difficult traffic, but then Istanbul has its own problems as well.
Güzel. En çok sevdiğin halk, yani bunu sınırlamak, kategorize etmek zor biliyorum ama en samimi bulduğun, dürüst bulduğun, içten bulduğun, kalben bulduğun halkı bana söylersen çok sevinirim.
So throughout the journey, we've been lucky enough to be embraced by many people from many different countries and many cultures. But I think the one that stands out the most for me, probably because all that I've read in the international media on CNN or on BBC, is the problems of Pakistan, the problems of people there. And I went in there very fearful that I was not going to make it through the country, and Sophie and her mother were very scared that we were driving through Pakistan. But we had people welcome us with open arms, take us into their homes, cook us food, enjoy sharing our stories of our life and hearing stories of their life. So probably the most open and accepting was Pakistan. In the same sense, India as well was very warm and welcoming. The people were always happy and curious. You'd go to bed at night with the tent up. You'd wake up in the morning with 100 people around the car, all looking in, wondering what was happening. So no personal space, but big smiles and lots of welcoming. And then crossing the border from Georgia into Turkey, we were late arriving at the border. The border guard said, no problem, you can stay here, stay in our compound. So as soon as we came across the border into Turkey, we were openly welcomed by very friendly people who just wanted to know about our story, wanted to share our adventure, find out why we were travelling for a year together, why we had no children, why we had no life really in a house, when we were living in a tent on top of a car. So I think the three probably for me are Turkey, India and Pakistan.
Good. Güvenlik endişesi duyduğun, burada olmamalıyım, burada olmasam iyiydi dediğin anlar oldu mu?
I think when you take on a journey to travel around the world and you know that you're going to be going through countries that in your mind are problems because you've heard about them in the news, you read about them in the newspaper or hear about them on the television. And more often than not, they're the countries where the people welcome you more openly than other countries because they've been inhibited. People around the world have got a set mindset on what they think people from Pakistan will be like, or people from Angola or the Congo. And it's only when you get there in person and you meet those people face to face for the first time and you have conversation, you realise that we're all the same. We're all human beings who are living a life, have a family, have a house, go to work every day, enjoy listening to music. We're all very, very similar. But the problem is media and news around the world give you what you think you should be thinking. And unless you go there yourself and you meet those people and you have those conversations, only then I feel is it fair to build up an understanding of a country and have an opinion on a country. So of all the ones that I feared the most, the Congo, Nigeria, Pakistan, those countries have generally been the ones where people have welcomed us with open arms and really accepted us as humans and just wanted to know our story.
Daha önceki yıllarda da benzer bir deneyim yaşamış. Afrika'da büyük bir macera yaşamış. Onun hakkında da biraz bilgi verirsen çok sevinirim.
In 2008, I drove around Africa and it was really my first ever big overland adventure. I'd lived in South Africa before that for 6 years and I'd rented four-wheel drives and gone and done very short 2-week holidays on safari to Botswana and Mozambique and Malawi, and it had given me the passion for Africa. It had really set itself in my heart as a wonderful continent with some amazing countries, some challenging borders, some interesting people. And I decided to go back to the UK to save money for 3 years to plan my big trip, which I called Afritrex, to drive around the whole of the outside of Africa. It was certainly challenging. I went with the idea of going with a best friend, and we planned it for 3 years together. And only 2 weeks before we were due to leave, he decided he couldn't come. He'd not made the plans in the UK to give up his job, and I decided to go and do it myself. I thought, this is a lifetime opportunity. You've put so much effort into it. Now is the time to be a man, to get in your car and to drive off onto an unknown continent. I did it. I got back to England, and it was still, I think, the best year of my life. I met some incredible people. I challenged myself as a human being. I really had to work out logistics of borders and visas and fixing cars in the middle of deserts and dragging them out of rivers. And it was a real test for me. It was my own camel trophy, I think. By the time I got back to England 12 months later, I think I'd changed in the way I understood the world, people. I think I became a lot more accepting of different cultures and religions and foods. And now I just want to explore the rest of the planet. It's huge and there's lots more to see.
Ben muhteşem bir karakter. Hem gezgin, hem o ruhu taşıyan, hem olabildiğince pozitif. Yani bunu anlayabiliyorum. Başka ülkelerde insanlar mümkün olduğunca etrafı germemeliler. Rahat olmalılar, relax olmalılar. Tamam, ama bende bu yerleşmiş, önemli bir karakter haline gelmiş. Ben şu soruyu sormak istiyorum. Bu yolculukların sana zihinsel kattığı şeyler vardır, ama ruhsal olarak da olgunlaştığını düşünüyor musun?
I think travel for me is the best classroom I've ever studied in, because I did college and university and it was just in a box, learning, not really doing much with my life. It was only when I got to travel did I start to learn and open my eyes to all of the other amazing things out there in the world. And travel has given me that positivity to want to meet other people, to learn about them. I feel I'm not from England. I don't live in Australia. I just am someone who likes to explore the world. And having my Land Rover and having my office inside and my bedroom on the top gives me the chance to take my house on the road. And the only thing that I haven't got with me is my dog, because my dog's still in Australia. So maybe on the next trip we need to put a kennel on the roof and take the dog with us, and then I've got everything I need to keep exploring the world, soaking up all the good stuff that it offers, and telling the story of travel and getting other people to go out there and have their own travel adventures, because it makes the world a better place if you can understand other people, if you can understand their cultures and why we have Christians and Muslims and why we have different foods. And borders are just maps and lines on maps. They're not where one world starts and another world ends. It's just a transition. It's just, if you keep your wheels turning on your Land Rover and you keep traveling the world, you keep learning and you keep hopefully becoming better and better and more understanding as a human.
Yolda teknik sorunlar yaşadın mı çok fazla?
A Land Rover is a Land Rover. It always has little things and little problems, but if you drive a Land Rover for long enough, you start to recognise the noises that you need to worry about and the noises that you don't worry about. And if I'm driving for 400 kilometres in one day and I suddenly hear something new, I look underneath and I have problems. I have things that go wrong. Shock absorbers very often end up with the oil all over the floor because I carry too much weight in my car. But generally the serviceable items like brake pads and the filters, I look after my Land Rover more often than I should. So I change my oil every 5,000 kilometres. I try and keep the engine running as sweet as possible. I think on this trip the only major thing is a power steering pump that I've had to replace. I've had a few little cracks in the suspension that I've had to weld up, but when you go and drive some of the worst roads in the world for day after day after day, even the best 4x4 in the world is going to get problems with it. And I think and I hope my university education in automotive engineering gives me the skills to understand the problems, to learn how to manage them and hopefully how to fix them too.
Eşinle yolculuk yapıyorsun. Belki önümüzdeki yıllarda çocuğun da olabilir. Olsun. O zaman ne düşünüyorsun? Yolculuklara devam edecek misin çocuklar?
We finish this trip in about 2 months' time. We get back to England for Christmas and then we'll go back to Australia. And we're at the stage in life where we're saying it's time now to possibly bring a child into this world and go and explore the planet, keep doing that. But I've always said that if and when we have children, they will come on our adventure in life and learn what we've learned by travelling together. Sophie and I have loved this year on the road. So we've got 2 seats in the back of this car. There's always space for a baby seat to go in there. There's 2, maybe if we have twins, we'll put 2 baby seats in. But I want to, in 18 months' time, be shipping Colonel Mustard to South America. And then we want to drive from South America all the way up to North America. So with child on board, it will happen. I think it will either be in 1 or 2 years' time we go and do it, but we'll always be having an adventure. We'll always be traveling the world, and taking children with us will just increase, I think, our understanding of the planet. It will be a great way to break down barriers with other people as we meet them with children. I think it's a whole new game. We'll see, it might be tougher than we think, but at the moment, I think it'll be doable.
Bize önerebileceğin, yani kaç gündür Türkiye'desin, 3-4 gün oldu. Bizi daha öncesinden de mutlaka araştırmışsındır. Türkler nasıldır, kimdir, ne yerler, ne içerler, nasıl konuşurlar. Burada da geldin, gördün, canlı canlı gördün. Bize önerebileceğin, bizim tür, bizim düşünen, bizim gibi bakan insanlar için önerebileceğin, gençleri özendirmek adına, gençleri heyecanlandırmak adına önerebileceğin, önerir misin? Daha doğrusu şöyle diyelim, hadi toparlanın ve gidin der misin?
When I grew up and Mum and Dad used to take us on holiday, we used to drive for maybe 6 hours to the north of England and Scotland and go camping, and it was cold and wet and not very fun. So travel for me is something I've only learnt to do since maybe my mid-20s. Taking that first flight by yourself to a foreign country is a scary, challenging thing to go and do. So travelling independently, overland travel doesn't happen overnight. You need to go and do a couple of short trips just to learn how to do it. So you can think about a bigger adventure, you can think about bigger trips, but little bits and often is what I try and do. So when we get back to Australia, we won't now go and do another year away, we'll just do another weekend away. And slowly but surely, the car becomes more and more like a home. So the kitchen becomes better, and we put a shower in, and we put air conditioning in, and maybe we're getting older and need more luxuries, but slowly our adventures are becoming the perfect way that we can see to travel. But 10 years ago I wasn't doing that. I was just learning every little bit and often. But the one thing I always say is always have the next adventure in the pipeline. Whether that is a flight booked to a new destination, whether it's a big adventure 2 years down the line and you set the date that you're going to leave, always have something to look forward to, because otherwise life can be a little boring and a little dull. So always have that next adventure planned.
Biz 2016'da Yunanistan, İtalya, Tunus'a gideceğiz. Bizim de mütevazi bir organizasyonumuz var. Büyük macera diye, şimdi Big Adventure diyebileceğimiz Land Rover Adventure Türkiye. Biz daha kendi arka bahçemizdeyiz. Yavaş yavaş açılıyoruz. Bu biraz Türk mantalitesiyle de ilgili bir şey. Neler önerirsin kısmını sosyal medyadan alacağız. Bize mutlaka ışık olacaksın, anlatacaksın. Yaban TV olarak da gideceğiz o maceraya. Ama bize verebileceğin önemli şeyler var mı? Mesajlar var mı? Yani şunlara dikkat edin, şöyle yapın. İşte senin deneyiminden faydalanmak istiyoruz. Bize son bir cümle kurarsan çok sevinirim.
So looking forward to the next adventures that you guys are heading off on. Some incredible countries to go through. I haven't done them all yet. I'll be able to tell you in a few months' time what the rest of Europe is like. But having been through Tunisia and knowing how beautiful the northern part of the Sahara is, how different the landscapes are, how incredible. So you guys have got your next big adventure coming up, and with some fascinating countries to go to. I've only been and done Tunisia out of those, but that is an incredible part of the world. For me, it's Africa, so already it's exciting. It's got the Sahara Desert, which is wonderful, a great place to get stuck. Definitely take a shovel to dig yourself out. But if you imagine the scenery in the Star Wars movies, if you imagine beautiful towering sandstone cliffs, amazing vast areas of desert, stars like you've never seen before, it is one of the most beautiful countries in Africa. You'll have some great contrasts of food, the locals. It's just somewhere to go and embrace. Make sure you've got a big SD memory card in your camera, take lots of photos, and go there in the night time, lie on your back, look up at the stars, and just think, wow, how cool this planet really is.
En çok etkilendiğin ülke, coğrafya ya da kara parçası. Yani biliyorum psikolojik bir algıdır bir yerden etkilenmek, o atmosfere girmek, onun ruhuna girmek ama belki bu ipucunu senden alabilirim. Dünyada o kadar çok yer gezdin ki saygı duyuyorum, muhteşem. Anlatmakla bitmez. Maalesef süremiz de dar. En çok etkilendiğin kara parçasını, ülkeyi, ismini söylersen çok mutlu oluruz.
I think of all the countries that I've been to, and the one that I think surprised me the most with its diversity is probably Morocco. It's got such contrasting landscapes from the Sahara, from the beautiful rolling red sand dunes to the Atlas Mountains that run down the spine of the country. It's got high cliffs on the Atlantic side. It's got beautiful olive palms and trees that go down to the edge of the Mediterranean. It's got the intensity of Marrakesh and the beautiful cooling towers from the mosques. It's just got so much on offer. Take into account it's got beautiful food, it's got a French history, it's got Arabic tongue. It's very difficult to pin down one specific style, culture or landscape with Morocco. It offers so much. I had 6 weeks there and it wasn't enough by half.
Ben çok teşekkür ediyorum sana. İyi ki geldin. Yolun açık olsun. Görüşeceğiz inşallah.